What are the best games on the 2025 NFL schedule? Welcome, football fans, to my countdown of my most anticipated NFL games of the upcoming 2025 NFL schedule. Now, a lot contributes to a great NFL matchup. The quarterbacks, the coaches, the storylines, even the venue and the broadcast. These are the top 25 best NFL games that I'm looking forward to in 2025. Before I get started, comment below the game that you can't wait to watch in 2025. And let's get started with my number 25 game of 2025. That is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers hosting the Philadelphia Eagles and the Super Bowl champs. Now, why this game? Because it's just a normal Fox broadcast. Tampa Bay destroyed Philadelphia last year, and it was the most decisive loss of the season for the Eagles. The Eagles were a dominant Super Bowl champ, but the Eagles have had their trouble with Tampa Bay over the last couple of years, including getting lambasted in the playoffs just 2 years ago in Baker Mayfield's Tampa Bay playoff debut. This team also got destroyed at the hands of Tom Brady in Tampa Bay not too long ago. Ever since Jalen Hurts and Sirianni have been the main two characters involved in Philadelphia's success, this team has had trouble with one team, and that team is Tampa Bay. No matter it be Tom Brady or it be Baker Mayfield. Todd Bowles has given Jalen Hurts a lot of fits. And Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, this receiving core and this offense has given the Eagles a lot of trouble. So I'm looking forward to this game because can the Eagles find a way to beat this team and find a way to fix this matchup in their favor? And at the same time, can Tampa actually give us a team to aspire to look forward to maybe knocking off the Eagles in January? Because I think everyone believes that Tampa is in the playoff mix this year once again, and that could be a team that could rival Philadelphia down the stretch of the season, enter the playoffs, and maybe upset the Eagles and not allow them to repeat as champs. So that's why I have this at number 25. At number 24, the Dallas Cowboys at the Washington Commanders on Christmas on Netflix. Now, this game is a lot of fun because Week 17, playoff spots matter. I do believe that Dallas and Washington will both be fighting for a playoff spot, if not for the division in Week 17. So this game will matter in my opinion. Also, Dallas got a lot more interesting this offseason by adding George Pickens and having a very quality draft. They also have a new head coach. And Dallas did beat the Commanders last year without Dak Prescott. So this is not going to be an easy game. It's also a classic NFC East rivalry. And Jaden Daniels and Dak Prescott, this just feels a lot more big time now that the Commanders actually have themselves a quarterback. Like these Commanders, Washington, Dallas games, they've always mattered to the fan bases, but they haven't really mattered to the average fan or the casual fan or just the normal fan that isn't a fan of these two teams until now. This year, I finally feel the vigor and the rivalry of these two teams because now both are actually pretty decent. And this is also on Christmas with plenty of eyeballs and everybody watching with their families. So that should make for a great game with high stakes near the end of the season. So that's why it's at number 24. At number 23, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Chargers. Week 1 in Brazil. Now this game, it matters and it's anticipated that it's week 1 and it's a Friday night and it's a standalone game. That's cool. I think the coolest part about this game is that YouTube is carrying it, which means that a large audience is going to be watching this game. And that's also, as an NFL YouTuber, a pretty cool experience, okay? And I'm not sure what I'm going to do for this game, but that should be pretty fun. I'm actually not that excited to watch the Chargers as a team, and that's kind of weird for me to say because I like the Chargers typically, but I don't find them overly exciting in this new Jim Harbaugh era, and maybe it's because of the lack of explosive offense that I just don't feel like they have. They're more of a grinded out team. But at the same time, I feel like there are a lot of better Chief matchups on the schedule. This is only week 1 where the game isn't going to matter as much as the games down the road that the Chiefs do end up playing and the Chargers end up playing. So it matters. It's fun. It's a great venue. It's unique. And it's also like a cool experience from a broadcasting perspective. So that's why it's on the list. But at the same time, it's not going to be one of these games that people are probably going to remember at the end of the year. Like Packers-Eagles last year in Brazil wasn't really something that we talked about at the end of the season, except for the rivalry or the rematch that we saw in the playoffs. So Chiefs, Chargers here on the list. Next up, we have at number 22, the Detroit Lions and the Baltimore Ravens in week 3 on Monday Night Football. The one reason this is low on the list, because when you think about Lions, Ravens, those are two of the best teams in football over the last few years. Lamar Jackson versus one of the most exciting electric offenses in football, two of the physical football teams in the NFL, two teams that really pride themselves on beating the opponent up and physically dominating, which is what I'm looking forward to most in this matchup. But the reason it's lower is because the last time these two teams played, the Ravens in Baltimore annihilated Detroit. And I'm kind of worried that in a Ravens primetime game, that always can happen. They just have this runaway feature within their offense that just allows them to win games by 20 plus points. Because of Lamar Jackson, hopefully this is a close game. Hopefully the Lions can make this closer than the first time around. But it's Monday Night Football. It's still early in the year, and both of these teams are anticipated to be two of the best in their conferences. And this could be a Super Bowl matchup. I mean, it realistically could. So in week 3, Lions and the Ravens. Next up, we have the Bears at the Lions, 2 consecutive Lions matchups. This one's on Fox, and the reason this game matters, week 2, the week before Lions-Ravens on Monday, is a matchup between Detroit and their former offensive coordinator, the wizard himself, Ben Johnson. Not only that, but the high expectations of Caleb Williams and the new Chicago Bears. And there has been this little bit, I don't know if everybody has been following this, but there's been this little bit of rivalry, this little bit of sting, this little bit of salt between these two teams this offseason, between Ben Johnson leaving Detroit, their fan base, and choosing Chicago as the destination. So just for that alone, I think there's going to be some anger and some energy between these two fan bases that's going to reinvigorate this entire rivalry and make this game physical, feisty, and fun to watch for everybody involved. It's early in the year, but that adds to it because it's closer in our mind to the history of the Lions the last couple of years involving Ben Johnson. Week 5, the New England Patriots travel to Buffalo on Sunday Night Football to play the Buffalo Bills. I had to include at least one game from my favorite team, and I think this is objectively a phenomenal matchup when we're talking about the Bills in Buffalo under the bright lights, taking on the team that wants to knock them off, that throne. And I think the sleeper team in the NFL this year, my New England Patriots, the most improved team this offseason, from a coaching perspective, a roster perspective, one of the best young talented quarterbacks in the NFL, Drake May, and a pretty darn good defense that's going to be able to take it to Josh Allen and the Bills. On top of that, the energy that Mike Vrabel provides in this environment. So I think this is going to be like the new AFC rivalry, Patriots and Bills. It didn't really exist with Tom Brady because Brady was like 33-3 against the Bills, and it hasn't really existed post Tom Brady. But now I think we're about to get a Drake May, Josh Allen for the first time, Bills and Patriots fans might actually have a little bit of dislike between each other. I know the Bills fans probably don't like Patriots fans because they beat them so many times with Tom Brady, but I feel like the last couple of years that has soured, and I feel like now it might exist once again. So week 5, Patriots, Bills, because the Patriots are going to be on the Bills' heels, it's kind of like little brother right now. While it was the opposite in the past, I think this is going to be a fun, big game that goes down to the wire for sure. We have the Dallas Cowboys at the Philadelphia Eagles in the opener at number 19. This is going to be on NBC, which adds to it. I think NBC has the overall best broadcast in the NFL from just a visual perspective, and I think just the way that everything comes together from the pregame to the postgame. And it's Dallas, which always adds to prime time, but then it's the Super Bowl champs. It's them with the banner in front of their biggest rival. It's the new additions to each team, specifically George Pickens to the Dallas Cowboys, and how that might impact this matchup in particular against the best defense from last year in the Philadelphia Eagles. What will the new coaching staff of the Cowboys look like in this game? Their first chance to give us an impression. And I think there's going to be a little bit of like an underdog feel for the Dallas Cowboys entering this game, kind of like there was in 2021 against Tampa Bay. And then at the same time, I think there's going to be Philadelphia, without a doubt, looking to punish their biggest rival and embarrass them in front of their fan base and have some fun in a setting where they're, revealing their second banner. So there you go. Next, we have the Washington Commanders and the Kansas City Chiefs in week 8. This is, I think, a game that a lot of casual NFL fans are really going to enjoy and really get hyped up about. I just can't really see the storyline for this one, which is why it's a little bit lower than some other people. Like, maybe somebody can point it out. But for me, it's, Jaden Daniels versus Patrick Mahomes. That's kind of the storyline. I don't really know what else there is to really go on here. It's obviously in Kansas City, which is always fun. I think Kansas City is a better venue in primetime than Washington for sure. The fan base, the crowd, all that sort of stuff, the stupid chant that they do. And then, of course, you've got I think just from a football perspective, a lot of fun to look forward to when it comes to Cliff Kingsbury's offense versus Steve Spagnuolo's defense, and how Spags might try to scheme up and stop Jaden Daniels, which will be very intriguing to watch. At the same time, how will Dan Quinn go about trying to defend Patrick Mahomes? So I think on the field, it will be a fun game that likely is decided by the last possession. But I think from like a neutral storyline drama perspective, there's not really a lot that puts this really high on the list. But I wanted to include more Monday Night Football matchups because, I think it's important. So this one is probably regarded as the most anticipated, most exciting due to the quarterback play that is involved here. Next, we have the Los Angeles Rams at the Baltimore Ravens in week 6. This is also a Fox game. By the way, Fox had the most games on this list by far, I think. Los Angeles and Baltimore, they played a phenomenal football game a couple years ago with Stafford and Lamar going back and forth. Lamar's MVP season a couple seasons back, and Stafford was dueling in that game against the best. He was dealing and dueling against Lamar Jackson, against the best defense in football, and Puka Nacua and the boys, they were going crazy. So, yeah, it's just a really good football matchup. Not a lot of drama here, but it's two of the best quarterbacks with totally drastic different styles between Stafford and Lamar. It's two teams that are looked at as potential representatives in the Super Bowl in their conferences. And then it's also two teams that are going to be pretty physical football teams. Like the Rams, I think, want to run the ball. The Ravens want to run the ball. The Ravens are stout up front on defense. The Rams are stout up front on defense. The Rams have that pass rush in front seven that might be able to give the Ravens a little bit of trouble in terms of protecting Lamar Jackson. At the same time, I feel like it's a really good coaching matchup. Sean McVay against Baltimore's defense. We've got Monken against a young guy like Shula on the other side. So I just think from a football X's and O's, it's a really good game. So that's why I put it on the list. Next, we have the Buffalo Bills at the Houston Texans in week 12. This is on Thursday Night Football, and this is number 16 on the list. This, basically the storyline for me, is not only did these two teams play last year and the Texans in Houston beat Buffalo in a weird ending where I kind of felt like Allen had a concussion, but I don't know. I could be wrong. That being said, this, in my opinion, could be the best quarterback versus the best defense in the NFL. And then including that, you have kind of a revamped Buffalo defense and a revamped Texans offense. So there's a lot to look forward to from both sides of the football. Like, I think if I were projecting this year, who would be the best quarterback? I mean, Allen is right there with Lamar and Mahomes and Burrow. And then at the same time, the other side of the ball, both of them kind of have like their problems, their issues, like Stroud in this offense, but they have talent. And then at the same time, the Bills, right? Their defense has some new improved talent, some new depth, some Joey Bosa involved as well, right? So I think there's intrigue for both sides here. It's also a Thursday standalone game. Two teams that could be in the AFC Championship, and I wouldn't be that surprised. Next, we have the Detroit Lions at the Los Angeles Rams. This is another Matt Stafford versus Detroit game. This is in LA, though. So finally, Detroit gets to travel to LA and actually play Stafford in his new home building. This is also a Fox matchup. I'm surprised it's not a primetime game, but it's later in the year, which is interesting because I think both these teams could win their division. Both these teams could be in the mix for the number one seed in the NFC. And I think the Rams are the best they've been on paper since 2021 when they won the Super Bowl. And I think the Lions are one of the most talented teams in the NFC. But I think where things could shift this year is that the Rams might have the more cohesive coaching staff while Detroit's having to deal with the losses that they sustained this offseason. But it's a Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford matchup. There's been a lot of drama, a lot of intrigue, and a lot of not anger, but like competitiveness between the fan bases because of the whole Stafford trade. And I kind of think, Detroit hasn't always treated Stafford that well. We'll see how Jared Goff is treated in LA. It's a more casual atmosphere, but it should be a very fun game. Probably pretty high scoring too. We've got the 49ers at the Rams at number 14. This is a Thursday night football matchup. I'm really excited for this game. It's close enough to the beginning of the year to get a new sense for what the 49ers are going to look like with their young defense led by Robert Saleh. Brock Purdy, his freshly minted contract with his weaponry probably ready to roll and probably healthy in week 5. And then at the same time, it's the Rams, the reigning division champs, and they're looking to get back to where the 49ers were just a couple seasons ago. The 49ers kind of owned this rivalry over most of the McVay-Shanahan tenure, while the Rams have kind of they've taken that back last year. So there is a little bit of hunger to defeat the Rams on the Niners side to get back to reclaim this rivalry. At the same time, the Rams are looking to even boost their chances at a Super Bowl this year and get even better than they were last year. So there's intrigue there. It's McVay, it's Shanahan, it's two of the wizards and two of the brightest minds in football, two of the most respected coaches, and that has really breeded one of the best rivalries in the NFC and the NFL. The Detroit Lions at the Kansas City Chiefs is in Week 6 Sunday Night Football. This is my number 13 and was nearly a top 10. Now, the reason I love this game is because I always have that ingrained in my mind, that opening kickoff game from a couple years ago, Kansas City versus Detroit, and Detroit knocked them off in Kansas City, okay? That's a game that I remember that I had a lot of fun watching. That was kind of another Dan Campbell crazy game where he went for it a bunch of times. Kansas City didn't have Chris Jones or Travis Kelce, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that. But this game, I think, is a little bit of a rematch there. I think Kansas City, does want to get their revenge from that game a couple years ago where it's tough to lose an opener where, you just revealed your latest banner, your latest Super Bowl championship. Everybody's kind of like praising you and you're the best team since sliced bread in Kansas City. And then all of a sudden Detroit out of nowhere beats you. Like, that's kind of embarrassing. So I think Kansas City wants to get that revenge. At the same time, this is just a great matchup between two of the top teams in the NFL in both conferences. It could be a Super Bowl preview. It could have been the Super Bowl 2 years ago. It could have been the Super Bowl last year. I mean, there's a lot of chances. Could it happen this year, right? The offense of the Lions against Steve Spagnuolo is a lot of fun. At the same time, the aggression of the Detroit defense and the toughness of Detroit versus a team like Kansas City, where a lot of people don't like Kansas City, and a lot of people like Detroit. So it's almost like this hero, this blue versus red, right? So to me, I really enjoy this type of matchup at number 13. At number 12, the Kansas City Chiefs, once again, we're going to see them plenty more on this list, at the Dallas Cowboys in week 13. This is simply, it's Thanksgiving, first of all. Everybody is going to be watching. This will probably be the highest rated game in the NFL this year, and I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever. Why? It's the best quarterback and the biggest name team in the dynasty versus the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving. So for that alone, it ranks highly on this list. At the same time, I think, again, there's a lot of talented players here. As thunder goes off in the background of my video, my goodness, what is going on the bottom line view? Wow, it's May. Okay, anyways, we have the Dallas Cowboys with CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons, and we have some of the brightest stars in the game, right? Dak Prescott's a big name. We've got Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and we have Chris Jones, and we have the Chiefs and Andy Reid. And so, there's a lot of big names, big logos, big teams, big brands, big franchises, big fan bases. This is a marquee game to watch. Then you have the Packers and the Steelers. This is week 8, Sunday Night Football. I was going to rank this relatively low, but then I just started to think about it, and I kept moving it up and up and up, because I'm like, it's Aaron Rodgers, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, most likely the Steelers quarterback, versus the team that let him walk, let him go, the team that drafted him after everyone passed on him, and then the team that he turned into an all-time great, a 4-time MVP, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, the Green Bay Packers, the Green Bay Packer franchise versus the Pittsburgh Steelers franchise, two of the biggest names in sports, two of the biggest franchises in sports. It's Aaron Rodgers versus his former team. How could that not rank relatively highly? The only reason is if it doesn't actually happen. And number 2, if Rodgers is kind of washed and it's not that exciting, but Love and Rodgers, forget about it. That is fun. LaFleur, Rodgers. There is so much here to get your hands on, your palms on. So for me, this is like a storyline game. This isn't really football quality. It's just storylines galore. Then, entering the top 10, week 10, Detroit Lions at the Washington Commanders, the revenge for Detroit. Okay? I am sorry if you guys can hear that rain. It is absolutely ridiculous, okay? But we are continuing to rank our list. The Detroit Lions at the Washington Commanders. I'm actually kind of scared right now. I'm scared for Jaden Daniels because somebody is going to bite his kneecap off in this game. Dan Campbell might do it himself. He was so upset, so bothered, so unbelievably beside himself about that loss and that upset. And I couldn't believe it. A lot of people couldn't believe it. The domination that Washington was able to display in Detroit against the Lions. So for me, this is a top 10 game because Jaden Daniels and the Commanders, they're looking to do even bigger things. They're looking to continue their success from last year. They added Laramie Tunzel. They added Deebo Samuel. Deebo, Detroit. There's been a little bit there too in San Francisco too. And then at the same time, you've got Detroit who's looking to revenge that embarrassment of being the number 1 seed, having the most successful regular season of their franchise, and then losing in an embarrassing way. So that's why it's at number 10. At number 9, week 11, the Detroit Lions at the Philadelphia Eagles. This is Sunday Night Football. This, to me, is pretty simple. It's two of the best teams at the line of scrimmage that have built their teams in very similar fashions, that want to play with toughness, physicality, that want to dominate you at the line of scrimmage. And also at the same time, you have a team in Philadelphia that, hey, Detroit thought they were going to be Philadelphia last year. Everybody thought at a portion during the season. Everybody was talking about Detroit as the best team in the NFL. Everybody was talking about Detroit as the representative from the NFC. Everybody was talking about Detroit as the team that could beat Kansas City. Not a lot of people were actually talking about the Eagles. That was more of kind of an under the radar thing until the end of the year. Right? Detroit was supposed to be that team. Detroit and Philadelphia was supposed to be the NFC Championship. So this is the game that we never got last year. So that's why I have it inside the top 10. At number 8, the Los Angeles Rams and the Philadelphia Eagles. This is early, week 3 of the NFL calendar, but this is a rematch of the NFC divisional round, and it's pretty simple here. This is the team that played the best against the Eagles all playoffs and gave the Eagles the best game out of their playoff run. And the Rams have only gotten better, and the Eagles arguably have gotten a little bit worse. So can the Rams slow down Saquon Barkley? Can Stafford actually penetrate passing the football against Philadelphia? There is a lot to look forward to here. The personalities of both coaches above and beyond with Sirianni and McVay. And I'm just looking forward to this early statement to see if the Rams are able to knock off the Eagles and give us an indication that they can actually be the team to beat them. The Bengals and the Buffalo Bills, week 14. This is number 7 on my list. This is kind of strangely a Fox game. So I'm assuming this is a Tom Brady game, but it's Joe Burrow and Josh Allen. It's pretty simple, right? It's 2 of the best quarterbacks in football. It's arguably my favorite quarterbacks in the NFL, which is why it's so high. Even if you think the Bengals defense sucks, or you think the Bengals aren't that good, or you think the Bills are overrated, I don't care. It's Josh Allen, it's Joe Burrow, it's going to be a duel, it's going to be fun. At the same time, we've seen these teams play. We've seen these quarterbacks play just a little bit. We've seen them in a playoff game before in Buffalo where the Bills got destroyed. And I kind of feel like the Bills want to revenge that. So this should be a duel between 2 of the best and 2 of my favorite players in the NFL. At number 6, the Philadelphia Eagles at the Buffalo Bills. This is week number 17, late in the NFL calendar. I'm not sure what the stakes will be, but both teams might be playing for their number 1 seed, which is really interesting. At the same time, this could be a Super Bowl preview. It could have been the Super Bowl last year. Many people would have argued, right? At the same time, it's the MVP of last year against the best defense from last year. It's the 2 probable MVPs from last year, Saquon and Josh Allen. So, I mean, you've got a lot here. I mean, best player, best team. There's a lot here. And NFC champ, AFC champ potential as well. And it's in Buffalo late in the season. Saquon in the snow. Josh Allen in the snow. Forget about it. Next, we got the Baltimore Ravens at the Kansas City Chiefs. This is week 4. There's been a rivalry between Lamar and Patrick Mahomes, and Lamar has continuously come up short here in most of the games, especially in the bigger games. But to me, this is still big because I think the Ravens want to beat the Chiefs down after losing that AFC championship. And even last year, being a toenail out of bounds, Isaiah Likely in week number 1, Lamar has been playing phenomenal football, and many would argue he's been playing better than Patrick Mahomes over the last 2 years, but he has nothing to show for it, right? Other than just an MVP, no Super Bowls to show for it. While Mahomes has played maybe a little bit underwhelming, but he has a Super Bowl to show for it and multiple Super Bowls beyond that to show for it. I just think that from a coaching perspective, it's awesome. From a quarterback perspective, it's awesome. Both rosters are very solid and balanced, and both have playmakers, both have toughness, both have great quarterbacking. So I think the Ravens and Chiefs, it's a low-key great rivalry right now in the NFL. The Bengals and the Ravens is a bigger, brighter rivalry in Baltimore. Week 13, Thanksgiving football. This might not rank as high on other people's lists, but just look at the quality of these games that have recently happened between Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson. And these have continuously been the most exciting back and forth football games that nobody knows what's going to happen. The refs will be involved. There's going to be injuries. There's going to be wacky turnovers, huge plays, big touchdowns. And both teams kind of play outside of structure here. Both teams kind of play beyond their measurables, beyond the numbers, beyond the X's and O's. Sometimes the Ravens defense just has a brain fart. Sometimes, Joe Burrow plays just absolutely bizarre, incredible football. Sometimes Lamar makes spinorama throws for touchdowns. Like, this game is going to be wild, and it's also going to be with your family, celebrating Thanksgiving, NBC broadcast, 2 of the best quarterbacks in the league, 2 drastically different, both with aura. Can't wait to watch it. Then you have the Baltimore Ravens at the Buffalo Bills. This is week 1 Sunday Night Football. Now, week 1, it does have anticipation because we haven't seen NFL football in so long, and we're going to get a chance on Sunday night to watch Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson go head-to-head after Josh Allen knocked out Lamar Jackson in the playoffs last year in Buffalo. We're going to go to the same venue, the same place, slightly different players, but very, very similar. And I think this rivalry has been really brewing because they've played twice in the playoffs and the Bills have won both occasions. That being said, many argued that Lamar should have been the MVP last year. Many before that, the year before that, argued that Josh Allen should have won the MVP the year before that, and they got it wrong both years. So there's a little bit of this off-the-field drama and storyline, individual accolade-wise. At the same time, you know, the Ravens want to beat the Bills after they lost to them, and the Bills want to continue to be that team that is pursuing the Chiefs and overcoming the Chiefs. While, you know, the Ravens, they're both the teams that are trying to replace the Chiefs, you know, but they both almost feel like they're better than the Chiefs. It's a weird vibe. But anyways, that's why it's my number 3. At number 2, Week 2, Philadelphia Eagles at the Kansas City Chiefs. This is on Fox. This is not a primetime game. It's the Super Bowl rematch. Patrick Mahomes against Jalen Hurts, Sirianni and Reed. The butt kicking that Philadelphia placed on Kansas City. Will the Eagles be able to do it again? Will they be able to go to Kansas City and win again? In the Super Bowl rematch where they lost the first Super Bowl, they beat the Chiefs. It was a close game. It was a defensive game. So they won that regular season matchup. So they've won 2 in a row against Kansas City, not just the Super Bowl. And the Super Bowl was so embarrassing. Do the Chiefs have some, you know, an improved offensive line? Will they have improved pass protection for Pat? Or, you know, will they find a better game plan against this defense in Vic Fangio? Will Jalen Hurts and Saquon and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith continue to dominate Kansas City's defense? How is this game going to go? Or is Kansas City going to get the revenge or not? Is it going to be another embarrassment? Is it going to be a closer game? So there's a lot of intrigue here. Obviously, Super Bowl rematches always carry a lot of weight, and these are 2 teams that will be favored to get back this year. And at number 1, it's Josh Allen, it's Patrick Mahomes, it's Week 9 on CBS with Tony Romo on the call, glazing both of them equally, and it should be a phenomenal game. It's in Buffalo, which I think is always fun, and it always matters the way that Peyton Manning and Tom Brady mattered. Even if the stakes weren't as high, even if we've seen it a million times before, you wanted to see the latest entry, the latest chapter, the latest addition to this rivalry. And I know that Josh Allen has not quite gotten his Super Bowl moment, his playoff moment against Pat, but he's beaten him more than anybody in the regular season, more than anybody. So this is another regular season matchup here, and at the same time, the Bills are trying to get that number 1 seed for the first time. So this game is going to matter big time because they don't want to go to Kansas City in the playoffs. They want to play in Buffalo, and at the same time, the Chiefs don't want to slip up. They don't want to give it up. They don't want to fade away into the sunset. They want to be the daddies of Buffalo until the end of time. So that's why this is number 1. Thank you guys for watching. Those are the 25 best games, 25 most anticipated NFL games of this year's schedule. Thanks for watching. Gronk, spike the like button, subscribe, jabroni, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.